Hey everybody, you're listening to A to Z, episode 56. Today's guest is Randy Moore, art director on The Curious Case of Benjamin Button and many more.
It's like they're trying to be too meta.
We're gonna make them an offer they can't refuse.
Much better.
Yeah. You can buy you a drink. You can't just
Well, I mean, he did pick out somebody we know.
Well, you sidestepped the question. That technology does not exist.
Hey, everybody. What's up? My name's Zach. I'm here with my co-host Aaron.
What's up?
Welcome to A to Z. If this is your first time listening, thanks for checking us out.
A to Z is produced sort of weekly, and show notes can be found at atozpodcast.com. If you like what you hear, feel free to hit subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio apps, Spotify, or anywhere you can find
Quality podcasts. You can also follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at A2ZBMT, where you can find updates, clips, and extra content.
Yeah, and then also we want to remind everyone that the A to Z Movie Night podcast has diverged from our own. So if you were enjoying hearing those and that's like what you're into, remember, you're going to have to go and click subscribe a second time.
Absolutely.
On whatever app you're still using, wherever it is, just search A to Z Movie Nights, hit subscribe, smash it, tell your friends, tell your mom and them. That's it.
Yeah, and all alongside that, Facebook groups, A to Z Podcast Group and A to Z Movie Night, The Groupening, are where you can go and talk to us, talk to other fans of the show, and talk about the episodes. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, you can also tell us, like, who you want us to have on next. You know, that's a lot of the things that we do, we get from you guys, we get from our listeners, so we aim to please.
Yeah. Well, this episode is actually a very exciting one. We had on Randy Moore. Randy Moore has done a lot of stuff. His first movie
that he ever did, his foray into it, and we'll get into this in there, but his first movie was Assault on Precinct 13.
by John Carpenter.
And John Carpenter liked him so much, he used him for his next two films. He was a set designer on the original Halloween. Then he became the art director on The Fog. He forayed that into a long, illustrious career, working on things such as The Shining, the television miniseries. Buffy the Vampire Slayer was art director for that.
The Blob remake.
The Blob. And even all the way up into like the aughts, like with Benjamin Button, he was the art director for that, and he was an art director on the Avengers. Yeah,
so I mean, this was a really exciting interview. We were pumped on it. We brought Tim along, so Tim's going to be on this one. We're probably going to co-release this with A to Z Movie Night. But it was really cool. I mean, he found us, man. Like,
it was just happenstance.
He met Trevor. Trevor told him about us.
Another alumni,
Kaylee as well. And he saw our ad in the thing, and he told us he listened to a couple of movie nights, listened to a couple of episodes, and then sent us an email, and that was it.
Yeah, it was very serendipitous, very cool. We really enjoyed having him on.
Yes. And this is going to be one of the last episodes of the year, so I feel like this has been a good little...
Yeah, it's a good little bow tie on it, huh?
Yeah.
Since it's Christmas, we're going to do a little bow tie.
Yeah. So enjoy this episode with
Mr. Randy Moore.
That's what they become dependent on.
Get my headphones on.
Yeah, I saw one of the screeners I watched the other day was a Ready Player One, Steven Spielberg.
Yeah, that's a great movie, I think.
It was just all CGI.
Yeah.
And the story was like, I watched it, you can do this. I'm not impressed with the CGI anymore. Anybody can do it if you want to spend the money.
Yeah.
And it wasn't it wasn't exciting. It was just kind of...
You didn't like it?
No, I didn't like it. I gave it about 20 minutes. Maybe I should have stayed with it. I'll try again.
No, definitely. I mean,
should I stay
it's
with
more
it?
of like it's more of a love letter to movies, I'd say.
And the 80s in general.
To that culture.
I think I cut off at that with the first race or whatever it was when King Kong was popping up and it was all these things. It's like
dinosaurs and King.
Yeah, I guess I wasn't in the mood.
I think like there's been a lot of movies that kind of do something like what that one did, but I think they did a really good job because I usually don't like those kind of movies, but I think they did a really good job.
What are you talking about, CG movies?
Not CG movies, but the whole
AAA, like.
Yeah, AAA, and we're gonna have this cameo, and we're gonna have this, and all this big stuff. Like it,
You're
I think
just
they did a pretty
waiting
good
for
job.
the next cameo or
or whatever they're trying to shoehorn into the message of the story or whatever. But I thought they did a pretty good job with it.
Okay.
Yeah.
CG has come a long way though from the early days. It's
Oh yeah.
Now.
I still prefer practical effects though to CGI any day.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, you can do anything with CGI, but it's noticeable, and it pulls me out of the movie.
Bro, it's the difference between the Lord of the Rings trilogy and the Hobbit trilogy.
Yeah.
Like, easy. Right there. There you go. That's it.
Yeah, well, once, I remember when things like water, smoke, and hair were like, you just couldn't do it with the can.
Right.
Know?
The water's still very, very tricky.
It's tricky even in miniatures,
Yeah.
Although, I mean, if you do it not a miniature, you can get the weighing machines in and all that.
And inflate the budget.
Yeah.
Don't they have a parking lot that they flood out there?
Yeah, I did that one on Benjamin Button and in Paramount. They have a parking lot that you have to pan out all the parking lines and then you fill it up with water.
It's like a big blue wall.
Yeah.
Or a big green. It's not a green wall. It's
I like
blue
doing
wall.
that stuff. It's like the old school back on the lot doing that.
Yeah.
And we also got to open up the big pit on Benjamin Button for the tugboat.
What's the big pit?
When they used to do swimming scenes, Esther Williams, it's like a pool underneath. A lot of the old stages had pools underneath.
Underneath the
Yeah. So, like in the old little swimming movie, all that, they'd have
Yeah.
pools underneath. And so when they needed that, or you used it for when you build sets and you're having backdrops and all that, usually, the more you build the sets up in the air, for 2-story, so you don't see the ground, or you can have,
So you drain the water, you can make it. You could go higher.
But we did the tugboat for Benjamin Button on stage, and we needed a huge, most biggest gimbal I've ever seen in my life. They built it for this to move the submarine or move the tugboat around.
Yeah.
So it was.
Put a tugboat on a gimbal?
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, no, we replicated a real tugboat that they used.
Yeah.
Was scale? Or?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous.
Golly.
They there was a real one they used, and they had that the actors on it going up and down the Mississippi, and then it went across the ocean to fight in the war and to Russia and all that, and fight the submarine, the German U-boat. So they photographed it, measured it up, sent it. I worked only on the LA part of it. So then they sent it back to us, and we got it drawn up, and then built it from like waterline up. And then we built all the interiors as smaller sets on another stage, all up on gimbals too. And but that tugboat,
just
it
gimbals
was
all
all
over the
computer.
place.
They can make it roll and twist and toss. And
Who was the director on that?
my favorite one to work with, David Fincher.
Fincher. That's what I thought.
Well,
David, he's one of my favorite
how
directors.
about we don the headphones? We'll get this thing rolling.
Yeah, we got
No, you're fine.
I've never done this before.
No, this is great. This is what usually happens.
Okay.
Yeah, we like to get in and get a little loose.
Oh, okay.
And just kind of like talk about stuff, and then we'll test the headphones out and see.
Okay.
You can just get comfortable and move this to you. You don't have to
Yeah, and this mic is yours now, so
Okay.
so you just move it wherever you want.
All right.
Yeah.
Whatever. It sounds good.
That sounds great.
You got enough volume?
Yeah, I can hear it.
Yeah, they sound good to me.
Yeah.
Well, I guess that's a good as a point of any to start. Welcome to A to Z, everybody. I'm Zach. I'm here with my co-host Aaron.
Hey.
And we included Mr. Tim from A to Z Movie Nights in this one
Hello.
because we have Randy Moore with us today.
We have Randy. Yeah, welcome.
Hollywood's Randy Moore. You're an art director.
Yes.
What is an art director?
Pretty much involved with everything behind the actors. It's getting the sets done that you build on stage or that you build outside, or redoing locations to fit the movie line, whether it's turning it back to period time. So I'm involved with the production designer and getting the designs put into drawings so they can be built. I work with construction, the paint department, set decorating department, props, all the different departments. So I have to.
That's all in the art department.
Yeah,
You're
all
like
in the art
head of
department. So for
yeah.
it's like dealing with the set designers, draftsmen to get the stuff drawn up.
So you kind of take care of the logistics.
Yeah,
of the
and then you have to follow the schedule and make sure it's on budget and all that. And,
That sounds stressful.
yeah. I mean, in the early days, it was, I was doing the drawing and sometimes the building and all that. But no, it is. It's long hours, 6-7 days a week.
For sure.
14, 16, 18 hours a day.
Yeah. Yeah, I read on, in preparation for this, I was kind of reading your IMDb and stuff, and I saw in some of the earlier days that you were a set builder. Like, that's kind of seemed to be your, that's what
No, set designer.
Set designer.
I did.
Okay.
Yeah, because I have a background in architecture and graphic design.
Okay.
So,
Is that what got you into all of that in the beginning?
no, I just walked into it.
Really? That's what I was. Yeah. Where'd you?
When I started in architecture in college, and then I love it, but I didn't want to be an architect. I decided, so I switched to graphic design, and I like that. My graphic design professor got interested in film as an art form, but she tried to get me involved in it, and I didn't. I love movies, but I just, no. And I guess one of the other classmates got the bug, and he went out to USC to film school after that. Anyway, when I ended up in California, just a whim to see what it was about.
Are you from here?
Originally, I was from Dallas, but my family moved a lot.
Yeah.
So when I went to school in Ohio, and so I went out to California to check it out. And when I got to LA, I looked him up.
Yeah.
And I was there a little while, and then I know he was doing the film school thing, and then he was involved with the movie that was starting up. And it was involved with his childhood best friend from Kentucky, who was John Carpenter.
Yeah.
So he knew I knew architecture and graphics. So he pulled me and said, do some drawings for the sets and do this. And so I said, oh, okay. So I never drew a set. So anyway, I did drawings, and I ended up building props, making signs.
You got roped into
and this
it.
was
That's what it was.
What movie was this?
Assault on Precinct
Assault on
13.
Precinct 13.
Yeah, I even had a bit part where I
that's your
got
one
shot
actor.
in it. Yeah,
Yeah, we
I
saw
got
you had the
killed.
actor credit.
So
too.
that was your first job in the industry, was working with John Carpenter.
Yeah, and then I had other jobs I was doing at the time.
Yeah.
And so then, it was fun. I enjoyed it. And then they got another one, Halloween. I said, okay, I'm on full time. Boom.
Yeah.
And then The Fog.
Yeah.
So, and then after that, it was just kind of a lot of slasher.
So you worked on Halloween as well, and then The Fog.
Yeah.
So you worked with John Carpenter then quite a bit. Did he kind of
3 movies? Yeah.
after Assault? Did he pull you back in? And say,
It was the same group of people.
Right.
Yeah, it was the same group of people that did 3 in a row, and then it kind of went separate ways
went
after
from
that.
there.
That's one of the things we do in the movie nights is we find connections with all these movies that we watch.
That's like our biggest thing too.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know why we get so tickled whenever we stumble upon it. That's the joy of that show, is like when we stumble, hey, guess what? This guy's also done, and it would be like the last 3 ones we've done, and
We go down a rabbit hole.
yeah, and it feels
Trying to
like
connect it all.
we've tapped into like the collective unconscious
Yeah.
of like moviedom.
Well, it's great to when you work with people that you like working with, and you can work with them again.
Yeah.
It's like you don't have to learn a new language. It's
Right.
like how they
Yeah.
think and how they work. And
Makes sense.
Otherwise, you get hired on a project with 60 people you've never met or you may know of, but then it's learning all the names and
Yeah, so it's much more feasible for them to just bring in the same crew, right? Like we've done
yeah,
this before.
I've worked with them, and so I know what they can do, and it's
And
not
they know what you can do, and they just let you go,
right.
go to work.
So yeah, you just hit the ground running.
Yeah.
But that was my learning. I didn't know anything about making movies, so I was learning, and also the other crew. They were all young, and they were learning. So everybody was kind of learning. You go to film school for this and that, but not for art direction. In theater, they had theater design, but there was nothing at
like
that
stage
time
craft.
for art direction. So it was just kind of learning as you went, and so that was my training and my schooling. Was
You're
that.
on the job training.
Yeah.
That's a good way to come up, because as film fans, which we are, we look back and we think, oh, John Carpenter, legend. Like how crazy is that you were the art director? But he wasn't a legend whenever those movies came out.
No.
You know, he was like
what was one of his first movies? Was it Assault on Precinct 13?
He did one something
was
Starman.
79.
There was
It was a student film that went.
it was very low budget, and that's what got him.
Starman in November or something.
So this is his first feature.
Yeah, his first
Yeah,
feature. Yeah,
wow.
yeah.
Well, I mean, what was that culture like? What was it like being on set and at that time and with a young new director and the things that you were working on? Was it?
Well, it was exciting for me because I knew, since I knew nothing about it, and everybody was like really nice, got along great with everybody, and it was low budget, non-union. So
Really non-union? Wow.
Oh yeah, and I think he had to be over like $3 million budget at the time for the union would come in. So, I mean, I could watch and help somebody else out and learn what they did because that affected how I did stuff and how it all connected. But it was, it wasn't painful because it was new and exciting. Mm-hmm. And I didn't know that, the budget was so low and that not everybody, had to go through what we did.
Matter.
Oh, yeah. We didn't have the money for a lot of things. And shooting Halloween in Pasadena, California for fall in Illinois.
Yeah, Ohio, or wherever.
So you had to buy fake leaves and go out and put them in all the yards.
There's a very famous shot in Halloween that people always say when Jamie Lee Curtis is walking down the street and you can see palm trees in the background.
That was the biggest bugaboo. And we could deal with it. Yeah, we could deal with it in close-ups and everything by wrapping vine blankets around palm tree trunks.
Right.
But we were.
That makes sense why those trees are so viney now.
Yeah.
But we were low budget, so as soon as it was a wrap, we had to go out and rake all those leaves up.
You got to save those
we
leaves for the
couldn't keep
next
buying. Yeah, put them out the next.
Save them for tomorrow.
Were they real leaves or were they?
They were fake leaves. They have business out there. You can buy,
they
fake
have a
everything.
leaf wrangler that.
It was. We were the wranglers. The art department was a van. Everything was in a van. I like on Assaulting Precinct 13. It was so. Those days it was so easy with all the guns and the gangs. That's what the movie was about. My friend and I, we just went down to Stembridge, which is a gun prop shop on the Paramount lot. And we got to get this, and that. And so we rented all these guns and put them in the thing and just drove off and did the movie, But everything was a little looser. And
Precinct 13 was like one location, right? It was just...
Yeah, we had one set, the interior of the police station, and the rest...
most of it all filmed at night, too.
Yeah, and at that exterior police station. So that's why I was able to... I had a day job, so I would, go in at night and work on it. And Halloween, also the pumpkins, because we weren't shooting it in fall, and there weren't any pumpkins. So we found one hero one that the kid carried and dropped. But the rest of them found at a food market some South American pumpkins that were gray. So we were painting them orange.
Isn't there a gray one in one of the movies, though?
It could have been.
Maybe, eagle-eyed fans can spot it.
Yeah. But they got kind of gross.
Probably real fast,
Yeah.
I find it interesting that out of all the Carpenter movies, which Carpenter's, he's held really high, the Assault on Precinct 13 is his highest rated movie on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah,
it's higher than The Thing.
It didn't do well here when it came out. It's based on the old, an old storyline of, the enemies get together to fight another enemy. It could be the Yankees and the Rebels get together to fight the Indians.
Kind of like a Western where they got them all.
It was a hit in France. In Europe, and
they like revolutions and killing the man in a way.
Yeah. Well, they
that to it
because it did well over there. It gave us but
it was a huge
to gave you enough to go do the next movie.
But that was, I think the budget on that one was $250,000. Halloween was $350,000 and shot that in 20 days. So
you shot Halloween in 20 days.
I just learned that recently. 20 days. That's amazing.
And I was, but that was a learning thing too. In the old studio days, they really figured it out. That's why you had a storyboard artist. You sit down and you plan the movie out. You drew it out in storyboards. You saw all your angles. This is what we're seeing. This is what we deal with. I don't worry over here. This is it. And you spend your money there and you see it. You know. It doesn't hold up now anymore. I mean, it's hard to get a director to do that. But like in Halloween, the house, the old Michael Myers house, we found this house in South Pasadena. It was full of old medical equipment. So we cleaned it out and left it all run down and shot it first. And then while we were out shooting other stuff, we'd slip over and start fixing it up for when you see it in the beginning of the movie.
Oh, right.
So that would fix up like the exterior and give it a fresh coat of paint.
That and the interior too, but it was all run down. But it was one continuous Steadicam shot, so we went in and walked it out, and we knew exactly how the camera was going through. It would go through this doorway, that doorway, paint that wall. Paint that. Nothing here.
So you
nothing
only don't
there.
worry about that wall.
And that's how you do it. That's how you get your money on the screen, and you sit down, you think it out, you have your meetings, you organize it.
So y'all had all this planned out. By before you even start shooting.
And Carpenter was such a fan of Hitchcock, who was the master of that. He knew what the movie
pre-production.
Hitchcock was bored with making the movies. Once he had it all figured out, it was done.
He just wanted to learn how to shoot.
Now I got to make it.
Now I got to go do it.
But everything, when you deal with a director that does that, Fincher. This is what I want. You give me that, and I'm happy, and you shoot it. As opposed to directors that don't know what they're doing. Even the day they're standing there, and you've prepped all this, you've done all this, and they go, I want to shoot over here today. That kind of.
I got an idea.
We'll fix it. We'll fix it in post. Is it that mentality these days now?
Yeah, a lot of times we'll fix it in post, or don't worry about it. We'll of course, that's the money. Who's going to pay for it? But it drives me crazy when you do all your work and then we want to shoot this way, and it makes me look like.
Here.
But it can make my job look bad on screen. Right? He didn't do that right. So
yeah. I learned in school that every minute of pre-production saves an hour of production. So,
absolutely, I believe it. Yeah.
A lot of I don't know. It seems like a lot of movies, a lot of films today make so much money that they aren't as tight with it anymore.
That's not true. No. I used to think, when I do a big budget movie, it's going to be easy because you got all this money, but, bigger the movie, the bigger the problems. And it's
more responsibility.
More cooks in the kitchen, for sure.
And they seem
more people looking over your shoulder. And
they, when you're making that movie and you set in these budget, they don't want to put the money in the movie. I mean, they really want to fight you on the budget. It's a big fight on the budget, really. And because they go over, they're fighting you on your budget, your construction and all that. And then the shooting crew goes over, they're going to go over. And if I save money on one set, hoping I can.
That money.
They'll come in and grab it. Because we're over budget. We need it in our end. And it's a battle. And it just gets worse and worse. And these, when I left, it was pretty confrontational. It was, more and more that way.
Really?
Yeah.
So
does it
get really like is there like a struggle between the departments? You're saying then? So like
not within the departments. It's just that there's an overall budget, and you get a script, and you look at it, and you say, okay, then you get a breakdown from the first assistant director saying, I see this as a set, I see this as a location, I see this.
Yeah.
Okay. And you'll see the storyboards. Okay, so this is what you want us to build and do. And, and you sit down and you work out, and this is what we think it's going to cost. And, no, we can't spend that kind of money. You got to be creative. You need to find some way. No, they don't want to come back on it. They want to keep what they want.
They're cheap, and they're trying to get you to be more creative.
Well, those lower budget films, other than the mega $1 million ones, what's the saying? Necessity is the mother of invention. I might have said that wrong. But when they don't have $20 million to work with, you find they got to get creative.
Yeah, I did all the graphics, like on Halloween and all those. I did all the signage.
Yeah.
I mean, in the Michael Myers house, it was furniture from all our houses.
Yeah,
we brought
yeah.
in and put it in, you know.
Yeah, somebody got a sofa. Yeah.
You know, the crew cars were parked on the streets. You know, we need to have vehicles. And,
Oh yeah.
I've never even thought that would be the case. Like I've always seen like Halloween and thought this is a big feature.
This is Hollywood, baby.
But it's like that's the same kind of thing that any of us would do if we were trying to do something.
It
like
really
that,
is.
you know?
Absolutely.
It's like throw your car in the
We'd
street.
be
It'll
like,
be
Zach,
fine.
look, I'm bringing the armchair. You got to bring the ottoman. Yeah, we gotta
Everybody
put
just
in the
park their
scene.
cars on the street.
Zach, you bring the lamp. We're not buying the stuff. We already have it.
yeah. You've got a lamp at home.
We did the fog and in the fog when the fog rolls over the hills and everything. We actually tried to do that. We did that ourselves. And
Really?
yeah, they did a plate shot up north of the hills. And
What's
then
a plate shot?
They just set the camera up at a certain position. Like here's the bay and the hills behind it. They wanted to see fog coming over
like
the
a
hills.
vista shot, yeah.
Yeah, so they get the camera and say, "This is the shot we want." They lock the camera off. They shoot it. You know, just run some footage of it. Make notes of the time of day, this, that, the lens it was on it, the angle that it was at, the height of it. And then we went back on stage and got a tripod and a camera and a clip of the film and set it up.
And then
we looked through the lens and used a handheld laser, and we painted some black just wall, and then we went on the laser, and then we went and cut it out to match the hillside. And then the film crew would come in.
Oh, and then you put the fog.
And
you
then
layer
they just
it
have
over.
the fog come rolling over it and layer it in. Yeah.
Okay.
So that's how I learned about that process. So, I mean, that was great learning. Of course, now you wouldn't, you just CGI it. But
They would just.
It's just an After Effects
Right.
little plug-in now.
Yeah, but it was fun,
Float on.
doing that stuff. I could do that on a low-budget, non-union movie,
Absolutely, yeah.
And on the bigger ones, you can't. I mean, it's all compartmentalized and union, and you can't do that or do this. And
You're kind of stuck in your own role.
yeah.
I mean, probably even the lower budget films these days are probably union and a lot more restricted.
In the old days, I think it was like $3 million, and then today they call it tiered system. So you have your regular budget, and then at a certain point, it goes to tier 3, tier 2, tier. So tier 1 is the lowest of the union movies. I worked on one of those for a couple of weeks, and it was just like being on a non-union movie. Oh yeah, it was about a third of the pay, and it's
That must have been the Avengers you're talking about.
right.
The really low budget movie.
Actually, it was CBGB.
Yeah, really?
Yeah.
Really? Well, yeah, I see. After you worked with Carpenter a lot, you worked with Wes Craven on Shocker.
Yeah, nice guy.
Yeah, that was that.
Real sweetheart guy.
Really?
Yeah. Odd movie. Boy, that one was all CGI stuff because of
the TV and
a lot of green screen.
Really?
Yeah.
I guess that's about the time when that stuff was really kind of starting to come into effect more and more.
When did that movie come out? Was
that was 89, I believe.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah.
A lot of times back then, though, when they were doing green screen, they were just like doing like film composites. And double exposure wasn't necessarily CGI. It would just be
right.
composite overlays and stuff like that,
Well, the CGI work, I remember it was real expensive in the early days, and you had to it was all, movement was what cost, not the actual shot. If you moved in the shot, if you moved.
Oh, the tracking.
Yeah.
I think I read something that said the art director's job is to make the decision whether to move or not, right?
No. It could have been it's what they.
It sounds like cinematographer's job.
Yeah, cinematography. So this is what the move they want to see. If you're doing, if you're going this in and out, zooming in and out, or dolling in and out, it's the same price. I mean, because they're creating the background and you're just going back and forth. If you start going this way, right, or if you put actors in front of it in the early days, that had to put them in, it made it more expensive.
So you had to make that decision of, is that shot really, do we need that shot that bad?
Right. And then, of course, towards the end, you have your visual effects coordinator on the shoot all the time, and they go, don't worry about it. Yeah, you can just, you don't have to lock anything off. Yeah, but you have meetings with effects And that's why storyboards are nice, because here's the shot, and I'm going to build to here, and CGI, visual effects, is going to take it from here.
Yeah.
But you still have to design it all the way up so that they know what they're building to and all that. But that's where
Scale and all that.
Yeah, so, okay, I'm only building it this far, and then you're taking it the rest of the way. So that's,
And back in the day, they would do like matte paintings for that, wouldn't they? Until nowadays, it's
matte paintings, glass shots.
right.
Those were great. Those
Yeah,
glass shots.
yeah.
And
Nowadays, they'll just go green screen it.
or now you don't even need a green screen.
No.
Right.
I mean, when you're outside and all that stuff, you don't even.
Yeah.
On The Mask, we did some shots where it was like the camera just couldn't move. You know, you had to. But then, like on the Avenger and stuff, you're outside, whatever. You know, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, I see. Yeah, you did The Mask. Let's talk. We were talking before we started rolling about David Fincher and Benjamin Button.
Yeah.
You were telling a really awesome story about the tugboat and everything in the back lot.
There was a scene where they used a tugboat, and they used a real tugboat in New Orleans, and they put the actors on it, and they did a couple of runs up and down the Mississippi shooting. And then in the story, Benjamin Button gets on the tugboat and heads across the ocean to Russia, and then gets involved in the war and fights a German U-boat. So they photographed this tugboat and measured it, sent it all back to L.A., and got drawn up and built on stage, put it on a great big gimbal and surrounded it in green screen. And it rocked and rolled and fought the U-boat and did all kinds of stuff. And we built all the interior sets for the tugboat on another stage, also on gimbals. They had to slow them down. There's a galley scene. It was all the crew, the actors got sick from the
Really?
motion. Yeah. But it was good they did anyway. That tugboat ended up sinking, so they couldn't have used it anyway.
Yeah, God.
But that was pretty amazing, and they had a lot of people coming in, peeking into the stage, looking, and
Really wanted to get a glimpse.
Yeah,
Fincher looks like a guy that knows what he wants.
He knew exactly what he wanted.
Yeah,
and you delivered that. He was happy. He shot it, and it was real. He knew it right down, every scene, and it was a real joy, real pleasure.
Yeah, man, I bet.
Would you say he was one of your favorite directors?
Yeah.
Fincher? Have you worked with him on anything else?
No, I worked with him just that one time.
Just that one time.
He does seem to be that way. If like someone stifles him, he will completely disown the movie, like Alien 3.
Yeah. Don't mention that to him. Yeah.
No, he's very serious.
Some production photos?
Yeah, that's the tugboat.
He's showing us photos of the tugboat he was just telling us about, and these are pretty amazing. God.
No, I would have loved to have worked with Fincher again. It just didn't work out. And,
Yeah.
No, they went off to. I got called to work on that movie, and they said, we're going to New Orleans, and I had just been there recently. I said, I don't want to go back there just yet. So they said, okay, well, we're going to do L.A. also. So I said, okay. So they went off and filmed in New Orleans, and
were you still living out in L.A. at that time?
I was just in L.A., and I just did the L.A. end of it, which was a lot of building on all the stages. And when I read the script on that, I couldn't figure out how they were going to make it. I really just had no idea how they was going to go.
I was thinking like a smaller tugboat, but that is a big.
That's a tugboat.
Yeah.
That is a big
1-to-1 scale.
That is a big old boat that they put inside a building.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean those studios are massive.
Yeah.
Massive.
Oh yeah, those back lots and on all the stages.
Would you rather did you like shooting on a backlot or shooting like on location?
On location.
It depends.
Depends on the location.
Well, when I started out, you went on location because you were going to shoot what was there. And that made sense, to go to a location to shoot. You're doing a Western or you're doing this or that.
Right.
And then towards the end, with tax breaks that states are giving, you go there and, okay, we're going to go to New Orleans to shoot
Louisiana's a big one now.
Yeah, we're going to shoot a detective movie that takes place in Hollywood. Mm-hmm. So you're trying to
make New Orleans look like Hollywood.
Yeah, and then
those look the same.
So that if you're going on a location like that, a lot of times it's harder too. Like New Orleans, it got real busy, and so you had your A team, your B team, your C team. So big movie comes to town, they hire they want you to hire as many locals as possible because of the tax break.
Right.
So that means this movie sucks up the A team, and then you come with the B team, or who's left, and
so and the people that you can even get to go out on location is kind of it's kind of
they want to bring as less people as possible, hire local, and I'm not saying that there's not good people in these locations. There are.
Well, it's so hit or miss.
But there's still how many? Right,
how many
are you going to get?
Not guaranteed how many.
I was in Seattle. People came in to interview for being a carpenter, and they just had new tool bags, brand new, and
bought them on their way there.
Yeah, and that it kind of starts getting tough because I remember hearing people talk that they were chasing like carnies. They were chasing the movie. What state? What city's going to be next? Like Atlanta's real big.
Oh, so they're kind of bouncing.
Yeah, they just follow. They go with the movies.
These extras just travel around.
Yeah, and that's tough way. I got tired of that. I wasn't working in L.A. hardly at all. I mean, and that's why I could move and live here.
What brought you here?
Ex-girlfriend got a job here.
Oh, okay.
So I came, and because I was happy after 30 years in L.A., I was happy to leave. I never really liked L.A. I mean, I miss things, and there's some parts of California that are great, but as overall, I was ready to leave. I'm glad to be back in Texas. Yeah,
that's good.
Yeah, well, we're glad to have you back.
Yeah, I shot here the Newton Boys, and it was like, oh, this is great, and the crew was great, and a lot of. I was
Newton Boys is an older movie, right? It's like, was that the 90s?
That was in the mid 90s.
Yeah, and just about everybody was from Texas on that crew, and it was great.
Really?
That's
awesome.
All pros.
How about we usually do a little mid-show break, so let's take a little mid-show break, and we'll regroup and come back.
All right.
Hey guys, this is Chris with A to Z Movie Night, letting you know that A to Z Podcast Studio is funded in part by our patrons over at Patreon. If you'd like to support us, head over to patreon.com/A to Z BMT. That is patreon.com/A to Z BMT.
All right, everybody. Well, it's our mid-episode break, and we like to take this time to highlight things that are going on in your area.
Yes, December 19th at 6 p.m. We're going to pimp it again. Return to Whiskey Row. That's tomorrow if you're listening today. Is presented by Gulf Coast Spirit Society at Green Line Americana. It's going to be a $25 Old Forester Whiskey Row Series flight.
So if you're a bourbon guy, get over there.
Yeah.
And also on December 25th, that's Christmas, in case you don't know, at 8 p.m., Christmas Night of the Art Studio. Yeah. It is going to be an all-ages show, $5 cover. That's for them, help support them. They're a nonprofit. Yeah. They're going to have the Ramblin' Boys and the Scraps, your favorite local bands.
Boys.
That's it. That's hometown stuff.
Merry Christmas, y'all.
I mean, they do that in movies, right? They have another crew that's filming the crew making the movie most of the time. Probably early in production.
Yeah.
Do y'all hate those guys?
Getting in everybody's way.
Yeah, or they'll.
They're trying to get their shot while you're trying to get yours.
Yeah, they're doing that, and then I'll be up to my eyeballs, and I'll get a call, and they want to interview an actor over here. Can you put together a little set for them so they can somebody behind?
So they're trying to put you to work doing their documentary that you have nothing to do with.
Yeah. Just go away. Plus, their security anymore is outrageous, and then
I bet.
Like on the Avengers, I wasn't allowed to take photographs. You have to wear your badge. Only you had to have a special permit to have a camera, and you have to. They're all worried about
the
leaking
Avengers,
out.
That was like the first. I mean, it wasn't the first big comic movie. It was the first big. What do they call that whenever they're all together? Ensemble one that they did.
Some Marvel. That was still a learning curve for them too.
Well, you want to? We can start off with that. I guess.
Whatever you like.
We're back, man.
Yeah,
we're back.
Well, in the first half of the show, we kind of talked. We talked like origins a little bit. We talked about some shoestring budgets and stuff like that. So we could lean into the contrast of that versus what it's like to work on $1 billion movie. You know, that's pretty interesting.
Yeah.
Going from Assault on Precinct 13 to the Avengers, that's quite the step.
The biggest change is that Assault on Precinct 13, there was one of me.
Right.
On the Avengers, I was like, I think one of 5 art directors. So there's just a lot of people. And I would work on, I basically did a lot of the exterior stuff on the Avengers. So it was, but you had to coordinate a little bit. One of the art directors, a friend of mine, he was doing some stuff they took to Ohio. And one of the sets I did was when the Hulk came crashing down in the ship and did this chasing the Black Widow and destroying stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That was an old power plant outside of Albuquerque, and went in there and added a bunch of stuff and built it for him to break and tried to tie it into where he fell through from the ship, which was on stage, which was Billy's set.
Do y'all have just like a list of locations?
Yeah.
Or is there like a big list of locations where y'all can go? Or there's a guy that's looking for that, right?
No, yeah. You have scouts,
Location
and
scouts,
and they before you. A lot of times they're still looking for them, when you're there. But usually, you try and do your location work first, and then your stage work next. Except you want to have cover sets always ready in case you're out shooting and it rains and you have to run in.
Right.
But so you have location scouts going out scouting stuff. That's an ongoing process. You always have to get in the bus, and go to the location, look at it, all the departments, and try and figure it out. And
now, somebody like you, when you get to that location, you've got to kind of okay it or say, no, this isn't going to be feasible.
Not at my level, say on the Avengers. No, the director and the production designer would be more be the ones doing that. But everybody once they, usually I don't get involved on them until they say, okay, this is the one we're going to do. Mm-hmm. Then we all pile on a bus and you go there and everybody gets out and everybody's looking for what they have to do there. Grips go, oh yeah, we're going to run cable. We got to hire cable here and here.
Yeah.
And I look at it, and then, but if it's been picked, this is usually probably my 6th time of going there because I've already been out there measuring and photographing and dealing with it.
Yeah.
But I go out with the other departments just to answer questions and deal with it.
Right. It was something in a movie like The Avengers is heavily storyboarded and all of that. So when you do show up, like you were saying earlier, you've got the angles and or at least you hope so.
You have it all figured out, and then it becomes then mechanical effects and mechanical special effects and visual effects, and the art department. Then, like on some of my sets, all of the sets in the Avengers, but I did the forest scene where the Captain America and Thor were fighting.
Oh, they have a little fight.
So we went up on this mountaintop, found this forest. It's perfect except we need trees here and here and here, and then they needed trees that broke, and then they needed to fly somebody in on a cable, and they need, so then we had to make a lot of trees to bring into the forest and place
to break,
them. And so then that's helpful to say, okay, I'm taking it to here. Mechanical effects is you can need something here and that. And you kind of work all the logistics out.
Right, man.
Yeah, but no, that was they took over that facility in Albuquerque. They had quite a few stages there. I think the only ones we weren't using were Breaking Bad was using it, but they took them all over. It was pretty amazing.
It was such a huge production. That was in production for what, a year or something like that?
Probably. I worked on it about 7 months. But that was just a lot of. Our department was huge. I knew a lot of people on it, but it was just I was just one of many.
Yeah.
Just doing my part, but I had to coordinate it with the other ones. Like I said, somebody breaks through my set and goes to another set. What are you doing on this one? Let me see. And
So you could sync it all up. All these different people working in different departments.
But I didn't. I only did a couple of stage sets, and then the rest of it was like all out around town locations.
Mm-hmm.
The helicopters are coming down and all that. Some school or whatever. A lot of graphics. And
It makes me feel good that even though, because before we started, we were kind of talking about CG a lot. It makes me feel good that even though, the Hulk character is CG, obviously, there's nobody like that. But the set that he has to run through and tear up is real.
Right.
So it hasn't got to the part now where it's so CG. They're just like, yeah, just do the whole thing. Just do the whole thing. It's still,
actors. I mean, actors have to have something to bounce off of and relate to, and where you're walking. And I did a little scene on Shocker. They wanted to see this guy as a ghost. So we built it. There's an interior set that we built, and then I matched it on another stage just in planes and shapes, and it was all green. This is where the walls are, the floor. This is where the table is. So that one actor was in that one, and the other one was in the set, and they were and the actor working in a green environment. And if we didn't build the shapes in there, they're lost.
I don't know.
You hang a tennis ball and be like, "There's your eye line."
Isn't there that picture of
there's the picture of Sir Ian McKellen
on the scene, the set of The Hobbit, and he just looks super because he's in a green
completely
stage,
green.
and he looks so depressed,
so sad.
It's a contrast between two pictures. There's Ian McKellen on the set of Lord of the Rings, where he looks just elated because he's like hitting an orc with his staff, and he's like, and it's awesome because everything's just practicals. And then it cuts to like on the set of the Hobbit, and he's in front of the giant blue vastness.
That paint, that chroma key paint, smells. You get headaches. I get headaches when I'm in, whether it's the green or the orange or the blue.
Is that paint or is it? I thought that was like a cloth or something.
It's a cloth. It's a paint. It's both.
But they usually paint it. What you're on wet paint mostly, like
I come in when they're painting it all, and it's just
and then everything on the soundstage is once you're done, you have to get out of there, right?
I'm sorry.
Okay. Once you're done with your shot, you have to get everything out.
Yeah. Sorry.
Because the next people got to come in and do theirs.
Right.
Yeah.
They'll hold it like when you do a set, you build it. They'll wait until the editor says we've got everything we need.
That's right.
And then you can take it down. But sometimes we got to get off and we need to pick up some shots. We know, so save this much of it, and you'll fold and hold it somewhere in storage and set it up again, or not. I've been called back on shows that we stuff. On the Fog, we had to rebuild the boat and a lot of stuff on stage because they just...
You had to go back.
Sometimes like months later.
Yeah. And that wasn't planned, so we had to look at, the stuff and figure it out. And they always want all the drawings when you're done in case they have to do that, and you leave them all the drawings. And
you try to catalog as best you can.
Yeah. And then they call you back, hey, we got to do this. Well, you've got the draw. Oh, no, we don't. We can't find it. But no, then you go back and rebuild it for the reshoots. And... usually, that's, I had to get over that, putting all this time and effort into sets and then dumpster, just all.
Yeah.
Well, was it kind of hard, huh? It's like
in the beginning.
You put your energy and your time into it.
Even before that, when the crew would show up, you'd work really hard on the set and the crew would show up and
they'd step all over
there, they're putting Coke cans on this and that. And, they leave at the end of the day and there's trash and garbage and...
I always, when I watch behind the scenes things and you see the people that are sculpting, a monster or a building or whatever, because then that goes to art department and then that's or a painting turns into a sculpture, turns into this, and then, whatever, it goes there. And then I just go, if it was me, I'd be so heartbroken because then just when you're done, these beautiful pieces of artwork that these people have done just goes... in a dumpster or
a warehouse.
In a warehouse, in a warehouse somewhere and just collects dust. And it's just like, you see these people in those things putting all this time and effort into it. And then, okay, that's a wrap. Right. You can't take it with you. Like you said, they want all your drawings and all the maquettes and, whatever else they use. And just in case they got to do reshoots or something.
Yeah. There's always that.
And then you just got to let it go and move on to the next thing.
Well, exists on film.
Yeah. Film is forever.
And it was made for that, and I just had to live with that. I can photograph it, and just get over it. And I've got drawings. I got a lot of drawings that I've hung on to, and that's just the way it goes.
Well, did you like? So you worked on the small budget stuff in the beginning, but then you worked for bigger, obviously the Avengers. But which one did you enjoy more? Looking back, I would say probably the big budget, the pays better for sure. I'm sure, but
it depends. Like Benjamin Button was was great. I really enjoyed working on that movie a lot. I really enjoyed the 3 Carpenter movies. You know, I mean, that was fun and on another level. You know, I mean, I knew everybody. It was like with a family. And
would you say the director plays a really big part in how enjoyable your job is?
Oh yeah. It could be really good or it make your life hell.
Yeah.
And so it's
what's the hardest director you've worked for?
You may not want to say that.
He's tired, man. Come on.
I might have to go back to work. You never know.
Don't want to burn any bridges.
Hardest one, I didn't work with him directly, and for just a small part of the movie was Michael Mann.
Oh.
I did what was it called? Cyber, I think it was called. And they did some work in L.A. Were set up. They built some sets, and they've been shooting. And they realized that they weren't going to get everything done they need to get done in L.A. and they had to stay on schedule. And then they went to shoot in Hong Kong and
Was this was this Black Hat?
Yeah,
Black Hat,
Kuala Lumpur. They went off, to shoot over in Asia. So I got called in. So I went to L.A. and I had the set designers and everything with me. And then I got in there just as they were leaving and said, have fun, and they left. So I never met Michael Mann.
Yeah.
So we were still cranking out the drawings and stuff for sets that were going to be built in Asia. It was the times, time zones and a day later or a day earlier, I can't remember. And so thank God for computers because stuff could go back and forth. But Michael Mann was notorious, for being a stickler, and one of the sets was a nuclear power plant. Mm-hmm. It was in China. It was built by the Russians, so it was very old, and they wanted to do a lot of the interior of that over in Asia. I was dealing with the control room, so I had to do all this research because he wanted to,
He wanted to be accurate.
Yeah, when he'd see the drawings and the 3D models and all that, and the graphics alone, and the signage and the lettering, I had to find stuff that from the Russians built. I had to document everything, and this it was a real elaborate process, and just going back and forth, and when all was said and done, and I saw the movie. They go into the control room after the explosion, and everything's just covered in ash, and you can't see.
It's like you designed all that, and all you see of it is
all I see is piles of ash.
Like, what did I do this for?
I mean, is that a common thing that you did? It was having something that you spent time on be used in a way you didn't imagine,
or never seen,
or never even shows up on film.
Yeah.
But also, you probably did. You spend a lot of time being accurate with, I guess, whether it's the set you're designing or anything like that?
Always. That's my job. You have to make sure we have to do a lot of research. Some shows you have researchers on staff working. Benjamin Button, we had
like period accuracy and all that.
Yeah, the production designer was a real stickler on that, and guy just doing nothing but research. What's a Russian hotel look like in Minsk in 1930s?
Right.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So because. Whatever you're working on could end up being bigger than life on a screen, and you're going to see, and it makes it look real. It makes it look right. Yeah. It's just the right amount of aging. Nothing's ever new. Everything's got to have a little aging, unless you're doing it in the future. So,
and if you spend lots of time and money making something period accurate, all it takes is just one little tiny thing to completely take you out of it.
Somebody forgot on a table.
Just to completely take.
And that's what they'll remember, not how everything else. They'll remember the wristwatch.
You'll be on a top 10 bloopers in YouTube or something like that.
That carpet wasn't made until 1960. That's not period accurate.
No, but you try and do, be as accurate as you can. And, you realize you're going to lose some of the audience somewhere, it's, you don't have... Like when you're doing a weather station or something. I remember doing that one on the fog, and it was, that's what we have. That's what we can do, I know doesn't have all the bells and whistles, but, I'm going to lose all the...
Well, plus also John Carpenter and all those guys involved in that probably weren't as much sticklers as, like, it looks good enough, once you get to the higher
we
levels.
don't have time. We got to get to the next
and
shot.
Sometimes even, but they don't care. You know, I mean, they don't. They just. Some directors are more interested in the performance, or they're more interested in that.
Well, then that falls on
the
that falls
explosions.
on you and their crew, and then y'all can put that into.
Yeah, that's that. You do the best you can, and
Director
because I
shows
get
up,
hired.
They hope that you did your job, and then they don't have to worry about that, and they can focus on the performance.
Because I got to get work. You know, my next job. This, you know, if it was really bad or looked stupid.
Yeah,
you
right.
know.
Yeah.
Well, you said in the beginning that you were working a day job and then going and working on the sets at night. At what point did it become your gig, your main job?
Let's see. After the fog, well, it basically when I started getting more than like one movie a year, you know, on the lower budget ones, you know, like I said, 20 days out of a year, you know, what is that?
Yeah.
So, and I had a job in Pasadena. It was an engineering company that had a graphics department and architectural drafting construction. So when I get off a show in those early days, I'd just go and say, you need some help somewhere? Yeah, we can use you here. And I'd go work there. And it was a good relationship. I got a movie. Okay, see you, you know, and I'd go off. And so once I started getting more calls, and also started making more money that I could, you know, pay the rent. And you just had to learn to, you know.
It's a lot of networking still.
Yeah. And, you know, you never know when your next job is coming. So you have to, you know, you get paid pretty good, but then you may have to, you know, live off that money for the rest of the year.
Yeah.
The next job's not guaranteed. You don't know when
nothing was guaranteed. So, so when I started getting, you know, more jobs, bigger, you know, better paying jobs, back to back kind of stuff, then I just stayed with that, and I never went back.
Never went back.
Yeah. So, and it's been okay. I got over that fear of like, am I ever going to work again at the phone?
I do gig work. I work in music.
Yeah.
And that is a big fear with that kind of gig.
That feast and famine mentality.
Yeah, well, not even feast and famine. It's just it's you get done with a job and then you're like, well, I hope somebody calls. I can probably make it on this money for like a month or so. Yeah. And then you worry, and then the day that you spend worrying the most, you get a call the next day.
Yeah.
Or you buy tickets to go on a trip. You can't, you know. Yeah. But I never got a job by knocking on doors. I tried sending resumes out. I tried doing all that, you know, because you find out, you know, when productions are starting up. And you never did.
Put your name in the hat, and that never.
Yeah, send it in, try to get it. You know, never did. So it's just
That's
always that call came.
You get a good working relationship with people, and then when somebody else finds out, they go, "Hey, I know a guy."
Yeah.
And then you get the phone call. And
yeah. Once that happens, then that was all.
Your work speaks for itself, and
So you telling me that Hollywood is also a good old boy system?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Big time.
It's all who you
Nepotism,
know.
everything. Oh.
It's all a good old boy system.
So did you get to see any of the darker sides of Hollywood? I'm sure.
A little bit. You know, I wasn't on the set as much after I was, you know, started working for a while. I was always running ahead. I get to experience big egos and temper tantrums. And that kind of thing. And but that's, you know, but not a whole lot of the, you know, the stupidity. You know.
It's like, how did this guy get this level?
You'd see these young actors come in, and they knew, you know, they get hired to be their first gig, and once they worked for a couple of weeks, they knew this is a low budget movie. They're not going to fire me and hire somebody else, and then become a prima donna. But you know, it's a lot of, you know, some of the actors were like that, and some were, you know, like Jamie Lee Curtis was a sweetheart. She was, and. Janet Leigh was probably, I worked with her on The Fog. She was like so old school pro. It was just amazing.
Like
just
stage
classy.
acting,
Oh,
theater.
she just hit her mark, boom, boom, boom. It's not about me. It's a group effort. It's a crew. It's the thing, as opposed to it's, you know.
Well, you probably have a mix of those kind of people in Hollywood, because there's some people who are just pretty and are they just stay connected to the right people, and then there's people who've been doing it their entire life. And here they are. You know, it's their craft.
Right. Donald Pleasance, you just go knock on his trailer, boom, come out, hit his marks, right back in his trailer and shut the door.
I heard he was on set for like, what, 2 days or something.
We didn't have him for much.
Yeah, and he just because he was did his scenes.
That would make your life hell sometimes on the shooting schedule. Oh, we're going to get this actor, but we only have him for like a week, so we got to do everything he's in the entire movie in a week.
Every set that he's got to be on better be ready. Because when he's done, he's leaving.
Right.
Yeah, I learned about that a lot when I first was reading about the production of Desperado, because that was such a low budget movie that they hired all these actors, all their bits, but they would hire them like 2 days. You got this one for 2. Got this one for 3, got this one for 4, right? And then you have to organize it in such a way where, okay, they're in a scene together. We have to shoot this today, tomorrow. So
overlap
it'd be like 18-hour days because you only have it. And then what's funny about that movie is the actor who was on set the most days was Cheech Marin. He was on the set more than Antonio Banderas. He had like a quarter of the roles. It's so weird.
He was the bartender.
Yeah. But that's the thing about all that stuff behind the scenes. What people don't see on movies is pre-planning, pre-production. The better the movie, the less you see. Kind of thing.
No, that's one of your fears, your nightmares you have of crew showing up and the set isn't ready.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know how many thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars an hour that is. People are sitting around, wet paint.
You'd probably wake up in cold sweats, like, I didn't paint that thing.
Yeah, right. What did I forget?
Yeah.
The actors, the other thing that gets crazy about them is once they get up and big and it's all centers around them is in the schedule, it's like, we got to switch sets. This was scheduled for this, but we got to do this.
He's not feeling good today.
It's her niece's birthday, so she has to leave and go. Of course, if I show up late, I'm fired. But
Well, it's the talent, right?
Yeah.
It's like these man hours go into making these sets, and to designing the gimbals to float a boat in a building, and to do all these things. But then it all hinges on these
and
actors.
they show up, and it's like a bunch of fairies came in that night and sprinkled dust, and here's the set.
So, this is great. Yeah.
Well, just watch the credits after the roles disappear. There's a lot of names after that.
Has that gotten big, especially with CGI?
Now they're 10 minutes.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Is CGI still a big issue where the production companies are getting shut down because they don't get paid enough? That was a big thing that they talked about, especially when Lord of the Rings was happening. Whenever CG first started taking off, a lot of these special effects houses were, working. They had their guys working 120 hours a week.
Yeah.
And just to crank out enough to get this done. And usually by the end of the production they were finished, they would be over their own budget just to get it done.
Yeah.
And there was like a big story about a lot of those houses being shut down because of that.
And you get a movie like that, they job it out anymore to all over the place. You'll have a coordinator, and he's like sending this one to this company and to that company, to get it done in the time frame.
Well, it's like this company did the CGI dog. This company did whatever.
Multiple
it
effects
gets
houses,
spread out.
Yeah, that was funny. I'm trying to remember. I just watched a. That's what it was. I just watched Mad Max Fury Road. Fantastic.
Yeah,
really good movie. Lots of practical effects, lots and lots and lots of crew members, all that. You would think that there would be a humongous humongous art department, but I was like reading all the credits to see for stuff. There was a big chunk of it was the effects houses and stuff like that. One thing that was strange was there was one key grip still. One best boy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There was one of those. That's as how big of a budget and how grandiose that movie was. It was also at the same time very, very small production. It was like 10 people in the desert and it was so strange to really see that contrast. Got all these effects dudes, everyone working on it, and then actually the core production is like 10 people. And
the visual effects credits, sometimes it's almost like their own. They have their own art director, their own this, their own that.
That's got to be hard for that many people, making sure everybody gets the memo, so that when the director shows up, that everybody's on the same page, or like you said, or somebody gets fired.
Yeah,
I'd say they have it down pretty pat. We have hundreds of movies coming out every year.
Yeah. and bigger and bigger scales.
It's an art form, man. You know.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And the bottom line is it's a business.
Yeah.
As much as we talk about the design works and things, it's definitely a business.
It's a business with a budget.
It's a hardcore, cutthroat business. A lot of dollars.
Well, yeah, a lot of people's money at stake.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, that's what they're there for. Yeah.
Do you miss it so far? You've been retired for 3 years now.
Yeah. Yeah, I miss some of it. I've replaced it with, I've got a fixer-upper house.
Okay.
And it's nice doing the work that I hands-on, and it's...
We probably had to build a little sturdier than a set, I'm sure.
Yeah. But it's
yours.
It's mine. Yeah, and it's going to be done the right way, and it's going to stand. It's going to last. So I can stay up because I still do drawings for it and figure things out. Do 3D models of whatever I'm building to make sure. I miss that part of it. I really do. I don't miss the pressure, the battles over budget,
the work part.
Yeah, trying to make sure everybody's doing their job, and I still have dreams. Is this going to be ready or that going to be? That doesn't
still
go
wake
away.
up at night sometimes.
I keep my
It's like
hands.
the proverbial high school dream. You wake up on set in your underwear.
Exactly. Yeah. I've had. I am doing some remodel drawings right now. A friend of mine that's in the business still, in California. So I'm doing some remodel drawings on his house. Kind of keep my hands in a little bit. I do miss that.
You think if they gave you the call, you'd go back?
No, I got a few.
I guess you told them to stop calling.
No, I got a few calls after. I mean, even people knew that I retired. I got some calls, and going to Detroit to work on Transformers, whatever it was like, no, I'm gonna retire.
You're like, nah, Vin Diesel ruined it for me. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's time, and living in a hotel 6-7 months and working 18-hour days, it takes its toll.
Yeah, I imagine.
Yeah, and there's people still pouring in that want to be in the business and just, how'd you get in? What can I do? Who do you know this? And real eager and,
It's like, man, it was my night job. Come on.
You still stay in touch with some of your old collaborators?
Yeah, I do. A good friend of mine, I met him on Salt, and we did 3 movies together with those 3, and then we worked together a lot after that.
Yeah.
We did Craig Stearns. I worked with him a lot. I just talked to him the other day. A few people I stay in touch with.
Yeah.
A lot of people you didn't see them unless you were working. I mean, I tended to. Most of the people I knew were in the business because of the nature of it. You lived in apartment buildings that other people lived in that worked in the business.
Yeah.
I don't know how couples exist if they both are in it. When do you see each other?
You got to find somebody in the industry.
It's hard on relationships.
I imagine.
Family, very hard.
Yeah, well, being gone all the time, I can relate to that for sure.
Even when you're in town, you're gone.
Well, Randy, man, we'll call a close on that. We'll just say that.
Okay.
Thank you for coming. It was so nice to meet you.
It's my pleasure.
This was a real treat for me. Yes, thank you very much.
And thanks to Trevor for making the connection too.
Yeah, no, it was very pleasurable.
So you're going to come to a movie night with us?
Yeah,
we have you back one day.
Sure. No, I'd love to come back. Absolutely.
That's awesome. We'll have to figure something out.
We could like do the fog.
Yeah.
Which one? I don't know why they remade that. I don't
think anybody does.
That remake is
and they did Assault on Precinct 13 too?
Yeah,
I thought that one was decent, wasn't
They remake that.
The remake of The Fog is one of the few films. About 20 minutes into that, I walked out of the theater. I was like, I don't understand why they thought remaking this was a good idea, because the original was...
That was a sign I've been in the business too long.
When they started remaking your earlier movies, yeah.
Well, one of Tim's favorite movies is a remake, and it's The Blob. And you were on that.
Those.
So we're leaving and we're closing. Okay. I'm just going to say thank you. Thank you for being a part of some of our
thank you very much.
Yeah, some of our favorite movies for sure.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Yeah. It's been a pleasure, you guys. That was A to Z.
Bye-bye.
All right, that was the episode, guys. We want to thank Randy Moore for coming and hanging out with us. You know, like that was it was a treat for us, honestly.
It really was. I think it was a treat for him too. He had a good time. You know, just talking shop, really.
Yeah.
Special shout out to our patrons, Jordan, Lance, Brian, Doug, Jeff. We appreciate you guys for being such homies to us.
Yep.
Really supporting us in all we do.
Thank you.
If you're interested in becoming a Patreon, head over to patreon.com/A-to-Z-BMT, and you can pledge $1 or whatever you want. You make a one-time little pledge or monthly. It's up to you.
Yeah, just help us out. Help us keep the lights on, keep the studio open. That's all we're trying to do. Next episode is probably going to come out at the beginning of the year, which will mark 1 year anniversary, I think. So might as well go back to our roots, and we'll talk to Chad McGillivray, who's a sound engineer for Parquet Courts. We talk about life on the road and how he got to where he is, and it's actually kind of similar to Jake Hooker's episode.
It kind of is. We talk about sad boy stuff, but it's a good episode.
Yeah,
for sure.
Really
and also, I just want to do a little quick thing too. I want to give a special thank you to everyone that's come on here and agreed to do an interview with us in this past year. This is our last episode that's going to be released for the year. And seriously, big thanks to everyone that started, especially those that came early on when this was just kind of an idea.
Yeah, it helped us out.
And they were doing a shot in the dark, and they probably just figured they were wasting their time.
Yeah.
I don't blame them, but special thanks to everyone that's done it.
Yes, thank you. We couldn't have done it without you.
For sure, and thank you guys to everyone that's listening. I mean, if we didn't see returns on this, if we saw that no one was listening, I mean, we would probably still do it because we have fun, but we wouldn't feel as good about it. So,
I don't think so, yeah.
So thank you guys all for downloading and sharing and talking to each other. Thank you for talking to us about everything that you'd enjoy.
For sure, and we have a lot of cool things in store for the next year.
Yeah, next year going to be big, son.
Yeah, we got a lot of big interviews that we have lined up that are going to be coming in the early months. We're probably going to try to do some kind of celebration event for something, maybe February 1st. We might look into doing something, but we're gonna have merch out next year. We're gonna be moving on forward with what we're doing. We have more shows coming into the studio, which is a big thing. We have, I think, at minimum, probably 3 more podcasts that are going to be operating out of this space that we're in, which is the exact goal that we had when we started.
It really is, yeah. And they're going to be very different from ours too. So it's going to be a golden year next year.
Golden year is going to be a good year for Southeast Texas podcasts and content. And if you listen to podcasts, you're going to be in luck. And also just to let you know, if you want to do a podcast, we have a space for you, and we have a way of working something out that you can come work in our studio and use all our gear and do your own thing. This is what we want. This is what we wanted from the beginning, is to start some kind of little community in our community.
That's it.
As cheesy as that sounds. But I love you. We love you. Thank you for listening. And this has been A to Z.